Good evening, everybody. Myself, Karan Singh, IIT GATE, CSIR NET, AIR 40. You are most welcome in our channel Chemical Group. My dear students, अपने इस चैनल पर क्लास 9th to 10th complete science and chemistry for class 11th and 12th and chemistry for B.sc, M.sc and chemistry for higher levels कराया जाता है. So actually today I am going to teach you chapter 2 of chemistry for class 9 CBSE board, that is matter around us pure. इससे पहले क्लास 9th के 3 चैप्टर्स मैटर इन आवर सराउंडिंग चैप्टर 1, बायोलॉजी का चैप्टर 5 फंडामेंटल यूनिट ऑफ लाइफ एंड मोशन कंप्लीटली मैंने फिनिश करके अपलोड कर दिया है. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल आप उनको देख लीजिएगा. टुडे वी आर गोइंग टू स्टार्ट इज मैटर अराउंड अस प्योर. ओके, सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल मैटर, आई थिंक ऑल ऑफ यू नो अबाउट द मैटर, राइट? Matter, that is anything which occupies space having mass and volume is called matter, right? Anything which occupies space, anything which occupies space having mass and volume, is called matter, right? Anything. For example, we can take suppose as matter like the table, chair, board, and metals like the copper, gold, silver, and oxygen, nitrogen. So all are the metals as you can see, and only they have some volume, mass, and they must occupy the space, so they are called the matter. Okay, and there is types of matter. Actually there is classification of matter. Is matter around us pure? Actually matter classified in two categories: pure substance and the mixtures, right? Pure substances and the mixtures. So today we will discuss pure substances, right? Pure substances. So what are pure substances? Pure substances means a substance which is made up of only one kind of particles, only one kind of molecules, only one kind of atoms is called a pure substance. Okay, a substance which is made up of only one kind of molecules, only one kind of particles is called a pure substance. So okay, so you can write the definition of pure substance. A substance which is made up of only one kind of particles, only one kind of particles, only one kind of particles, oblique molecules, even atoms and the ions is called pure substance. Is called pure substance. Okay, so further there is classification of the pure substance. Pure substances are further classified in two parts: elements and compounds. Okay, pure substances again classified in two parts: elements and compounds. Elements and compounds. Both are the pure substance. elements also pure and the compounds also pure. So now what are the elements? Okay, elements means those substances which are made up of only one kind of atoms. Those substances which are made up of only one kind of atoms are called the elements. For example, nitrogen. Nitrogen is an element because it made up of only one kind of atoms. Silver, an element. Ag, its symbol is Ag. This is an element. Silver. If you take the piece of silver, so all the silver atoms are present in that piece of silver. If you take the piece of gold, all the atoms are present. All the atoms are of gold. So that means a substance which contain only one kind, a substance which is made up of only one kind of atoms, same types of atoms, is called an element, right? So you can write the definition: a substance which is made up of only one kind of atoms, right? A substance which is made up of only one kind, only one kind of atoms is known as pure substance, right? Is known as an element. For example, you can write the lot of elements, and one more thing, and it cannot be split up into more simpler substances. It cannot be split up into two or more simpler substances. A substance which is made up of only one kind of atoms and cannot split up into two or more simpler substances, and cannot split up and cannot split up into two or more simpler substances, okay. So let's an example. For example, suppose that H2O. Actually, H2O is a compound, right? If we pass the electricity in the H2O, if we pass electricity in H2O, it dissociates into H2 plus O2. Okay. So this is dissociated into two simpler substances, that is H2 and O2. But an element cannot dissociate it into simpler substances or some other substances. For example, H2. If we dissociate the H2, so no new substance is formed, only H is formed. On dissociation of H2, it forms H plus H. So both are the hydrogen, no new substance is formed. Okay, that means a substance which is made up of only one kind of atoms and cannot split up into two or more simpler substances, it is known as an element, right? So these are the for example, let's take some element. For example, silver, right? Gold, iron, copper, helium, hydrogen, neon, nitrogen, etc. There is lot of elements, right? So these all are the elements. And one more thing, that as you have listened in Vedas, a one proverb is that क्षिति जल पावक गगन समीरा, पांच तत्व मिल बना शरीरा. Means our body is made up of five elements. Elements means tattva, right? our body is made up of 5 elements. So what are these elements? Actually, so they are the chiti, that means chiti means earth, dharti, chiti, jal, water, chiti, jal, pavak, agni means fire, gagan means akash, sky, and samir means vayu, that means air. So they are the components of our body, right? But in the language of chemistry, so how can we understand these are elements? But we know that as you are students of chemistry, so you know that there are 180 elements are present in the periodic table. So these elements, we can say mostly our body is made up of 5 elements. You know, 5 elements. So what are these elements? Okay, our whole composition of our body, actually our whole composition of the body, they are inorganic elements. That the non-living things, our body is made up of the non-living things, elements. So which are these elements? Now, so here, you know, oxygen present in our body, that is 65% oxygen present in our body, and carbon 18% carbon, hydrogen 10% hydrogen, right? So you can add and calculate this. 65 plus 10, 75, and 75 plus 18, that means 75 plus 18, 85, and 3, 88. Okay, and so our most of the, and one more thing here, nitrogen is 3% nitrogen, and calcium 2% calcium. So this is the whole composition, that means you can say that 3 to 5 and 70, that is 80, 90, 98%. If you add this whole composition, 65 plus 18 plus 10 and 3 plus 2, so you can add simply 65 plus 70 and 80 and 98%. This whole is 98%. That is our 98%, our part of the body is made up of oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, and calcium. Basically, our body is made up of these 3 elements. Okay, carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. You can remember it. Suppose that if you are forgetting, how can you remember it? Our body is made up of. You know, in you have studied in class 10 that the some functional group like the aldehydes, ketones, and esters, and etc. alcohols. Okay, so there is one function group aldehyde, right? Aldehyde, C double bond O H. So this is a aldehyde group, right? So you can remember by this aldehyde group in the language of the chemistry, our body is made up of basically 3 components. Main components are 3 components. They are oxygen 65% and carbon 18% and hydrogen 10%, right? And remaining 3% nitrogen, 2% calcium, and remaining 2% and other elements are also present in our body, right? Okay, so after that, now there is a classification of elements. Okay, elements are further classified in 3 parts. They are the metals, non-metals, and the metalloids. So first one is metal, right? What are the metals? Means a substance which have the following properties. The main properties are like the malleable, ductile, sonorous. So there are main properties, right? Malleable, ductile, sonorous, and we can say the conductivity. So if an element follows, suppose that an element follow the properties, an element have these properties: malleable, ductile, conductivity, and the sonorous. It is called the metals. Okay, so these properties can be varies, and there is some variation, but main properties are the four properties. They are the malleable, ductile, sonorous, and the conductivity. Right. So the substance which have these four properties, and they are called the metals. Right. And here they are the properties of the. They are the lot of properties of metals. These properties followed by the metals. So one by one we will explain here. Malleable, right? And or sometimes we also you find it the malleability. Malleability means this is the property of metals. If you want to write, so you can write down in your notebook what is the malleability or the malleable. Malleable, this is the property of a metal, according to which a metal can be converted into a thin sheet by hammering on it. Right? If we hammer on a metal, this metal can be converted into a thin sheet without breaking. This property is known as malleable or the malleability. Understand? Okay, so if you want to write, you can write. If you pause the video and you can write the definition. Okay, means the property of a metal according to which it can be converted into a thin sheet by hammering on it without breaking. It is known as the malleability. Okay, right. So next one is ductile. What is ductile, or sometimes ductility? Right. This ductility is also a property of metal, according to which a metal can be drawn into a thin wire. Okay, so this property known as the ductility. So that's why we are generally, the wires are made up of the metals like the aluminum, copper metals. They are the they have the good ductile. They are the good ductility power, right? And the best ductility power has the gold and the silver. If we take the 100 milligram of gold, if we take only the 100 milligram of gold, we can draw a 200-meter long wire by only 100 milligram of gold, right? So they have the best their ductility power, gold and the silver. Now, and copper also have the good ductility, and even aluminum also have the good ductility power. So next one is conductor of heat and electricity. Conductor means electricity or heat can pass through them. Electricity or heat can pass through them. This is known as the conductivity. Okay. So the silver, right? Silver is the best conductor of heat and electricity. Okay. And all others are also good conductor of heat and electricity, like the silver and the gold, and copper also very good conductor of electricity, and even aluminum also a good conductor of electricity. But the best conductor of electricity is silver, and silver is also the best reflector of light. It mostly light it reflect on it on which it is fall. Okay, so next one is and all other metals also the good conductor of heat and electricity, like the aluminum good conductor, and the copper. So most of the wires are made of aluminum and the copper wire, and in spite of that, silver is a good conductor of electricity and good conductor of heat, but it is very costly, right? So next, lustrous. Lustrous means the property of shining. They are having the shining property, so it is known as the lustrous. So most of the metals having the shining property, as you have already seen that the copper, gold, silver, so they have the shining property. And next one is hardness. Generally most of the metals are hard, right? They are present in the solid state. They are hard metals, except few metals like the sodium and the potassium. They are the very soft metals. They are soft such that they can easily cut by the knife. So they are the very soft metals. But most of the metals are the hard, like the iron, right? And copper, aluminum, chromium. cobalt, nickel, etc. So they are the hard metals, but only few metals, that is sodium and potassium, they are the very soft metals, right? Next one is tensile strength. You know what is tensile strength? Tensile strength means this is the power of metals. It can just hold the weight. This the power of metals, according to which it can hold the weight on it. So that's why the metals are used for making in the bridges, right? And you have seen the as the bridges, they are made of the metals, metal wires, and the hard metal wires are used on them. Okay, so actually they are not easily broken down. So generally, therefore this strength is known as the tensile strength. Tensile strength means if we put some weight on the metal sheet, so it cannot break down. It can be bent but not broken down. So this is the tensile strength. Okay. Next one is physical state. Simply we know that metals are present generally in the solid state. Most of the metals are present in the solid state, but only mercury is the metal which is present in the liquid state. Next one is NPNPP. So NPPP, if we talking about the NPPP, melting and boiling points are very high. They have very high NPNPP. Like suppose that Fe, iron, 1535 degrees Celsius, very high melting boiling point. So chromium, copper, they also have the very high melting and boiling point. And there are also some metals like sodium, potassium. Sodium and potassium, they have only the 100 degrees Celsius boiling point. Okay. Some metals are also very low, having the low melting points like the gallium. You know gallium. Gallium is a metal. It has only 29.8 degrees Celsius boiling point, melting point. Okay, its melting point is 29.8 degrees Celsius. That means its melting point is just below the room temperature. Okay, sorry, just below the temperature of our body. Okay, our body temperature normally 37 degrees Celsius. So if we put this gallium metal on our hand, on our palm, it just melt. It start to melt because its melting point is 29.8 degrees Celsius. Our body temperature is continuously 37 degrees Celsius. So it is so soft metal, and that it can just melt as we put on our palm. Okay. So next one is densities, and metals have very high densities. Like iron, simply we talk about iron. Iron has the 7.8 Fe. If we talk about the Fe, and it has the 7.8 gram per centimeter cube density. And all other metals have some low density, like the sodium and potassium. They have their low densities, but the iron have very high densities. Okay. So next one is sonorous. Sonorous means bringing sound. Okay, bringing sound. If we beat a metal, if we hammer something on the metal, it produces sound, right? So this property known as the sonorous. Next one is color. So you know, mostly metals are generally, they are the gray color metals. Okay, color of metal is generally gray or silver color. Most of the metals have these two colors, gray or the silver color. But there are few metals, they have some different colors, like the copper. Copper has the reddish brown color, right? Reddish brown color. And gold, okay, it has a yellow color. So most of the metals have these colors. So actually, this is the concept, and this is the last first lecture. Okay, chapter 2, and this is the part 1. This is the part 1 of this chapter, is matter around us. So continue on our channel, and dear students, see you again, and like, subscribe and share this channel. Thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.